The discovery. In a distant galaxy, far from Earth, a group of alien explorers traveled aboard a sleek ship named the Starlight Voyager. The crew belonged to the Calthan race, known for their advanced technology and intelligence. They had explored many worlds, but nothing could prepare them for their mission to investigate a small blue planet called Earth. The captain, a wise and experienced leader named Alar, had heard strange tales about this world. As the ship glided through the cosmos, the crew monitored their instruments closely. Suddenly, a series of unusual signals lit up the control panel. The signals were unlike anything they had encountered before. Curious and cautious, Alar decided to investigate further. "Prepare for approach," he ordered, his voice steady. The crew set to work, adjusting the ship's course toward the mysterious signals. As they neared Earth, the crew marveled at the planet's vibrant colors. Blue oceans sparkled beneath the sunlight, and lush green lands stretched across the surface. It was a beautiful sight, but Alar sensed something deeper was at play. "Captain, the energy readings are fluctuating wildly," said Zora, the ship's science officer. She studied the data on her screen, her brow furrowed in concentration. "There's something powerful here. We need to understand what it is." Alar nodded, his concern growing. "We must be careful. If the energy is as volatile as it appears, it could pose a threat to us and the inhabitants of this world." He turned to the crew, his expression serious. "Prepare for landing and stay alert." The Starlight Voyager descended through the atmosphere, piercing the clouds. As the ship touched down in a remote area, the crew gathered at the airlock, excitement and trepidation filling the room. Alar opened the hatch, and the crew stepped onto the soft, green grass of Earth for the first time. The air was fresh, carrying the scent of wildflowers and earth. Zora scanned the surroundings, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's so different from our home," she whispered. "The life forms here are fascinating." As the crew began to explore, they noticed small creatures scurrying about. Some were furry, while others were brightly colored and had wings. The sounds of chirping and rustling filled the air, creating a symphony of life. The crew collected samples and took notes, fascinated by the new species they encountered. Suddenly, a loud noise erupted from the nearby bushes. The crew froze, their hearts racing. A group of humans emerged, startled by the sight of the aliens. The humans looked frightened, their faces pale as they raised their hands in defense. "What are those creatures?" One human yelled, pointing at the aliens. Fear radiated from the crowd, and panic began to spread. Alar held up his hands, attempting to show he meant no harm. "We come in peace," he called out, but his voice was lost in the chaos. The humans began to shout, some scrambling to find weapons. Alar realized they needed to establish trust quickly. "Zora, activate the universal translator," he instructed. The device buzzed to life, and Alar spoke again, this time in the human language. "We are explorers from the Calthan race. We mean you no harm." The humans paused, confusion replacing their fear. They exchanged glances, unsure of what to make of the strange beings before them. Alar could see the tension in their shoulders and the uncertainty in their eyes. "Why are you here?" A brave human stepped forward, his voice trembling but determined. "What do you want from us?" "We detected powerful energy signals from your planet," Zora explained, her voice calm. "We came to understand their source. We seek knowledge, not conflict." The human blinked, processing the information. "Energy signals. Are you talking about our weapons?" he asked, glancing nervously at his companions. "Not just weapons," Alar replied. "Your world is full of unique potential. We want to learn." A brief silence hung in the air as the humans considered the aliens' words. One by one, they lowered their makeshift weapons. The tension began to ease, though caution remained. After a few moments, the brave human nodded. "Okay, my name is Sam. I'll help you understand our world, but you must promise to respect us and our ways." Alar smiled, feeling a glimmer of hope. "Thank you, Sam. We promise to treat your people with respect and kindness." He gestured for his crew to step forward, and they introduced themselves one by one. As they began to share stories, the crew realized just how different their lives were. The humans spoke of wars, struggles, and the challenges they faced on their planet. Aylar listened intently, feeling a mix of empathy and curiosity. Zora took notes, her eyes sparkling with interest. "There is so much to learn here," she said quietly. "Their resilience is remarkable." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Aylar and Sam continued to talk. They discussed the energy signals and the possibility of working together. Aylar realized that this meeting could change everything for both races. But deep down, a voice of caution whispered in his mind. The Calthan were not the only ones watching Earth. Other forces in the galaxy sought to exploit its resources and its people. Aylar knew they had to tread carefully, for the road ahead was filled with uncertainty. In that moment, under the stars of Earth, Aylar felt a sense of purpose. This was not just a mission to gather information, it was the beginning of something greater. The Calthan and humans were two very different worlds, yet they might share a common destiny. As the night fell, Aylar looked up at the stars, realizing that they were not alone in the universe. They were on the brink of a discovery that could reshape their understanding of life and their place among the stars. This adventure was just beginning, and Aylar felt ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. The unfolding truth. As dawn broke over the horizon, the sun cast warm rays across the lush landscape of Earth. Aylar awoke in the ship, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension about the day ahead. The previous evening's encounter with Sam and the humans had ignited a spark of curiosity in him. They were not just mere beings. They were complex, resilient, and full of stories waiting to be told. The crew gathered for breakfast, their chatter buzzing with energy. Zora was particularly enthusiastic, her mind racing with the possibilities of what they might learn from the humans. "We should study their technology," she suggested, her eyes bright with excitement. "Imagine the advancements we could make by combining our knowledge." Aylar nodded but remained cautious. "Let's not rush things. We must build trust first. We don't want to overwhelm them." After their meal, the crew decided to return to the humans' location. As they approached, Aylar noticed a crowd had gathered, and Sam stood at the forefront, speaking animatedly. The Calthan's arrival had drawn the attention of many, and whispers filled the air as the humans looked at the aliens with a mix of fear and fascination. "Everyone, please calm down," Sam urged, raising his hands to silence the murmurs. "They mean us no harm. They come seeking knowledge." Aylar stepped forward, grateful for Sam's efforts to ease the crowd. "We are explorers, and we wish to understand your world," he said, his voice steady. "We want to learn about your culture, your technology, and your strengths." A tall human with an imposing presence stepped forward. "What do you know of us?" he demanded, his eyes narrowing. "We are not just a simple species. We have faced great trials." "We know," Aylar replied, meeting the man's gaze without flinching. "We have heard of your wars and struggles. It is your strength in adversity that intrigues us. How you rise again after every fall is a lesson worth learning." The human's demeanor softened slightly. "You think we are strong?" he asked, surprised. "Strength comes in many forms," Aylar said. "We have seen your ability to survive against formidable odds. That resilience is a powerful weapon in itself." The crowd murmured again, and Aylar could sense their skepticism beginning to wane. "We want to share ideas," Zora added, stepping forward. "Our technology is advanced, but it is not without flaws. Perhaps we can learn from each other." Sam nodded. "Yes, and we can also share our history. It might help you understand us better." Aylar could see the intrigue growing among the humans. "We can start with a simple exchange," he suggested. "Let us show you our ship and some of our technology, and in return you can share yours with us." After a brief discussion, the humans agreed. Sam led the crew to a nearby clearing where a group of scientists had gathered, eager to learn about the Calthan ship. As they reached the Starlight Voyager, Aylar watched the humans' expressions shift from uncertainty to wonder. The ship gleamed in the sunlight, its sleek design and advanced technology drawing gasps of admiration. "Is this really your ship?" the curious human asked, her eyes wide. "Yes," Zora replied, smiling. "It can travel across galaxies. Would you like to see inside?" The humans nodded eagerly, and Aylar opened the airlock, allowing them to step inside. Once aboard, the crew demonstrated various features of the ship, explaining how it navigated the stars and harnessed energy. The humans listened intently, asking questions and marveling at the advanced technology. "How do you maintain such power?" one of the scientists inquired. Aylar explained the Calthan's unique energy sources and their understanding of harnessing the cosmos. "But we also value knowledge and wisdom," he emphasized. "It is not just the technology that makes us powerful, it is our understanding of the universe." As the exchange continued, Aylar felt a sense of camaraderie growing between the Calthan and humans. They were learning from one another, bridging the gap between their worlds. After several hours of sharing, it was time for the humans to reciprocate. Sam gathered everyone around and introduced the Calthan crew to their technology. He explained their communication devices, weapons, and how they utilized their environment for survival. Aylar listened closely, absorbing the information. "Your technology is impressive," he said. "But tell us, how do you deal with the threats you face? How do you protect yourselves?" A heavy silence fell over the group. Sam looked around, sensing the weight of the question. "We fight. We have no choice. Our enemies are relentless, and we must stand our ground." Aylar's heart sank. He understood that the humans had been through unimaginable trials. "But you have the power to unite. If we work together, we can find ways to protect not just yourselves, but each other." The humans exchanged glances, and Aylar could see the flicker of hope in their eyes. Perhaps there was a way to forge a new path, one that didn't rely solely on fighting. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows, Aylar felt a connection growing between their two races. They were different but shared a common desire for survival and understanding. He knew they were on the brink of something significant, something that could reshape their futures. Yet, lurking in the back of Aylar's mind was the realization that they were not alone in the universe. Other forces were watching, waiting to exploit any weakness. But for now, the Calthan and humans were united in their quest for knowledge, ready to face the unknown together. In that moment, Aylar felt a deep sense of purpose. They had discovered not just a planet, but the possibility of a new alliance. The adventure had only just begun, and he was determined to uncover the truth behind Earth and its people. Together, they would forge a new destiny, one that would echo through the stars. "Our adaptability," Sam replied, his voice filled with pride. "No matter the situation, we find a way to survive. We can take the most ordinary thing and turn it into something that can help us. It's not about what we have. It's about what we can do with what we have." Aylar found himself reflecting on Sam's words long after their walk through the forest. He had come to Earth expecting to find a primitive species, one that would be in awe of the Calthan's advanced technology. But what he found instead was a race of people who, despite their lack of high-tech tools, had developed an unmatched skill for survival. In the days that followed, the Calthan crew continued to learn from the humans. They saw how their resilience had shaped them, how their ability to adapt had allowed them to survive even the most difficult challenges. The humans' potential wasn't in their machines or weapons, it was in their minds, in their capacity to think outside the box and turn even the simplest object into a powerful tool. One evening, back aboard the Starlight Voyager, Zora looked at Aylar, her eyes filled with a newfound respect for the humans. "They're not what we expected, are they?" she said quietly. Aylar shook his head. "No, they're not. They're far more than we imagined. They don't just survive, they innovate. They can turn anything into a weapon, a tool for survival. It's a power we've underestimated. Zora nodded in agreement. I think there's a lot more we can learn from them. As Eller stared out into the night sky, he couldn't help but wonder what other secrets the humans held. They were a species full of surprises, and Eller knew that their potential went far beyond what they had seen so far. The humans were not just survivors. They were creators, innovators, and perhaps even something more. The Kalthans had come to Earth seeking knowledge, and they had found it. But now, Eller realized they had also found something far more valuable. An ally with a power that went beyond technology, beyond weapons, a power that came from the mind. From the ability to see potential in everything. As the stars twinkled above, Eller knew their journey had only just begun. Sam fought at the front, his spear striking down one alien after another. His movements were fluid, instinctive, as if he had been born for this kind of fight. Nearby, Maria led a group of defenders, their makeshift weapons proving just as effective as the invaders' high-tech gear. As the sun began to set, the remaining alien forces retreated, their ships lifting off and disappearing into the darkening sky. The humans had won. Back aboard the Starlight Voyager, Eller stood in silence, watching the retreating ships. He couldn't help but feel a deep sense of admiration for the humans. They did it, Zora said, her voice filled with pride. They fought off an enemy with nothing but their ingenuity. Eller nodded. I knew they had potential, but this was beyond anything I expected. As they looked down at the humans celebrating their hard-fought victory, Eller realized something important. The humans' greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their strength. It was their ability to turn anything, even the simplest object, into a tool for survival. And that made them more powerful than any advanced weapon ever could. The aftermath. The battle had ended, but the adrenaline still lingered in the air. Smoke rose from the battlefield, and the smell of scorched earth mixed with the metallic tang of broken weapons and wreckage. The human settlement was damaged, but it still stood, a testament to their resilience and unyielding spirit. Sam wiped the sweat from his brow. Leaning on his makeshift spear, his chest rose and fell heavily as he surveyed the scene. Bodies of fallen alien soldiers littered the ground, their once shiny armor now covered in dirt and debris. Beside him, Maria knelt beside a group of wounded humans, tending to their injuries with whatever medical supplies they had scavenged. We did it, Sam muttered, more to himself than anyone else. We actually did it. Maria looked up, her hands stained with blood, but her expression was one of triumph. Told you we could. We're humans. We've been surviving worse odds than this for centuries. The words were true, but the reality of the situation began to sink in. This was only the beginning. If these aliens had attacked once, they would surely return, and next time, they might come back stronger, better prepared. The thought weighed heavily on Sam's mind as he walked over to the communication terminal set up on the edge of the settlement. Eller's voice crackled through the speaker. Sam, how are you holding up down there? We're still here, Sam replied, his voice calm despite the exhaustion. Barely. We lost some good people today. There was a pause on the other end before Eller spoke again. We're not done, Sam. This was just the first wave. I don't know who they are or why they came, but they'll be back. And next time, we'll have to be ready. Up on the Starlight Voyager, Eller stood next to Zora, watching the aftermath from orbit. The once quiet human settlement was now a flurry of activity as people repaired damaged buildings, buried their dead, and fortified their defenses. They had won the battle, but the war was far from over. I didn't expect them to survive this long, Zora said quietly, her eyes fixed on the scene below. They're more resourceful than we gave them credit for. Eller nodded in agreement. They're not just resourceful, they're relentless. Every time we think we've seen the limit of what they can do, they prove us wrong. They turn scrap metal and old tools into weapons. They fought back against a technologically superior enemy and won. Zora turned to Alar, her expression thoughtful. But they can't keep doing this forever. If the enemy returns with more firepower, the humans won't stand a chance. Alar's gaze hardened, which is why we need to do more than just watch. We need to help them. Back on Earth, as night fell over the settlement, Sam gathered the remaining fighters around a bonfire. The flickering flames cast long shadows on their weary faces, but there was a sense of determination in the air. They had survived one attack, but they all knew it wouldn't be the last. "We don't know when they'll come back," Sam began, his voice steady despite the tension. "But when they do, we need to be ready. We can't rely on luck or hope to get us through. We have to build stronger defenses, create better weapons, and learn from what just happened." One of the fighters, a tall man with scars crisscrossing his face, spoke up. "We fought with sticks and stones against enemies with energy weapons. How are we supposed to win if they come back with even more advanced tech?" Sam nodded. "You're right, but we fought with what we had, and we made it work. We'll do the same again, but this time, we'll be smarter about it." Maria stepped forward, her arms crossed. "We need to scavenge more. There's still plenty of tech left from the alien ships we destroyed. We can repurpose it, turn their own weapons against them." There was a murmur of agreement from the group. They had seen how Maria's quick thinking had saved them during the battle, and they trusted her instincts. "Exactly," Sam said, nodding. "We use everything we can find. No resource is too small, no idea too crazy. We've proven that we can make anything into a weapon, and that's what we'll keep doing." As the days passed, the humans worked tirelessly to rebuild and prepare for the inevitable return of the alien threat. Sam led scouting missions to recover alien tech, while Maria organized teams to dismantle and study every piece of alien machinery they could find. Every scrap of metal, every broken weapon, every fragment of alien armor was examined and repurposed. The settlement transformed into a fortress. Where there had once been simple huts and homes, now stood fortified walls reinforced with alien plating. The people trained day and night, refining their combat skills and learning how to adapt to whatever came their way. Alar and Zora, still watching from above, marveled at the humans' ability to innovate under pressure. They had never seen a species so willing to adapt, so determined to survive. It was clear to them that these humans were not just survivors. They were fighters, and they would not go down without a fight. "They're turning this place into a fortress," Zora observed, her tone filled with admiration. "It's incredible." Alar nodded, a hint of pride in his voice. "They understand something that many advanced civilizations forget. Everything is a weapon if you know how to use it." As night fell once again, Sam stood at the edge of the settlement, looking out into the vast, dark sky. He didn't know when the aliens would return, but he was ready for them. They all were. The humans had learned that their greatest strength wasn't in their weapons or their technology. It was in their ability to adapt, to use anything and everything in their fight for survival. And when the aliens came back, they would be ready. The enemy returns. The sky over the human settlement was eerily quiet. It had been days since the first attack, and while the humans had worked tirelessly to fortify their defenses, the looming threat of the aliens' return hung over them like a dark cloud. Sam and the others knew it was only a matter of time before they were tested again. Late in the evening, the alarm was raised. A scout on the perimeter had spotted movement, ships descending from the atmosphere, their dark silhouettes cutting through the clouds like ominous shadows. The aliens were back, and this time, they came prepared. Sam stood on the lookout tower, binoculars in hand. His heart raced as he watched the alien ships approach. They were larger than before, more numerous, and they weren't trying to hide their presence. This was a full-scale invasion. "They're coming," Sam muttered under his breath. "And they're not messing around this time." Maria, standing beside him, glanced at the ships with a steely gaze. "We knew this was going to happen. We've prepared for it." Sam lowered the binoculars and turned to her. Yeah, but even with all the work we've done, we're still up against a massive force. Do you really think we can hold them off? Maria's lips curled into a determined smile. We've survived everything they've thrown at us so far. We're not giving up now. As the alien ships descended, the humans scrambled into position. Armed with makeshift weapons crafted from the remains of the first wave, they took up defensive positions along the fortified walls. Energy weapons salvaged from the alien wreckage were primed and ready, and the humans prepared to use their most unconventional weapon yet, their ingenuity. The alien forces landed just outside the settlement, their sleek, advanced ships glinting in the dim light. Soldiers poured out, their numbers overwhelming. They marched toward the human settlement, confident in their superior technology and numbers. But they had underestimated the humans once before, and they were about to make the same mistake again. Sam stood at the front, rallying the fighters. Remember what we talked about. We use everything we've got. Every scrap, every tool, every piece of alien tech. Nothing is off the table.